any advice on how to talk to friends who are into spirituality? I always find myself butchering advice or explaining what I believe. So it's only been recent for me that it's become apparent. And again, take all the words I say with a grain of salt because they're words and they're pointing at something that can't be expressed. But we're going to point in the general direction, and hopefully you'll use your, you'll drop into the intuition of what I'm saying. Spirituality, on most levels, as it's known, self-improvement, self-realization, the striving, meditating, going to retreats, reading spiritual books, trying to be happier, trying to reduce negative emotions, trying to, this kind of thing. It's all wonderful and great. It's all part of the complete illusion of the dream. It's the dream character trying to make the dream character feel better, more connected, have more meaning. And I'm going to tell you, cutting to the punchline, there's no meaning apart from this is. And it's known and felt to be absolutely perfect and a perfect expression of not to, just this. So all of spirituality, in a way, it's more belief, it's more thought stuff, it's more, and I'm being a little aggressive here, but am I? The seeking of like trying to wake up and all of this, it all happens. It happens. It's a perfect expression of this. But if you think it's causative of anything, if you think it's actually getting you somewhere, you are delusional. Like everyone, like all of us. You're living the human delusion that there's a doer who can get to somewhere better than they are. There's no better. There's no somewhere. There's no doer. There's just this radiant, beautiful perfection and no one here. And if that doesn't make sense, good, because it won't make sense to the mind. It can't make sense to the dream character that thinks it's separate and it's an entity that does stuff. It can't. But when that evaporates, you can see back and go, oh, this meditation happened, this spiritual path happened, this belief happened, this teacher was listened to, this book was read, this was and this mystical experience happened, this sense of kind of awakening happened, and this experience happened, experience, the dream characters having experiences. That's all wonderful. It's all perfect. That's not this, though. Here, there was never anything to do. There was never any separate self. Everything is seen exactly as it is, and there's nobody seeing it. And that cannot make sense to the mind. However, there is because it is already and always the condition that all of us are in, there may be a feeling into what the words are pointing at. And by some grace, something clicks that is not in space and time, and so it feels instantaneous from the standpoint of the mind. But the mind is seen as the mind. The body is seen as just that, not you. And then it's everything, everywhere, all at once, because there's only this. So how do you talk to people? However you want, however you express. Like I will express the general joy and optimism of my generalized, improved, apparent ability to not be a complete ass dickhole to people. That doesn't mean anger doesn't arise. That doesn't mean volatility doesn't arise. It doesn't mean I can't rant and rave and feel strongly about things. But it generally means that there's a deep knowing that none of this matters at all. You could say in the dream it matters. Well, you don't want the dream to be a nightmare. Fine, then polish it up. Do the self-help. Work on your trauma. I'll tell you though, from here, what it feels like is you just got to allow everything that is to be, including the experience of remembering trauma or remembering or having emotions arise or whatever it is, and not resisting them as a separate self. The separate self who can own shame, when that separate self dies as an illusion, what is shame anymore? Who is there to be ashamed? Who is there to feel broken? Who is there to feel unworthy? They don't exist. They were seen to never exist. So what is shame? A feeling of sensations and energy in the body. And what is the body? It's just this. And actually dropping from the attention being in thought and believing thought as a separate self, believing these are my thoughts, dropping into just the body sense is a nice start. If there is any process here, which there probably isn't. So it's like that.